shortstop thought to reach to his right upon gathering in the loose baseball, he might well have been able to tag him right then and there. Russell didn't, of course, because there was no need. An accurate relay to first base, which the shortstop provided, firing a bullet to Steve Garvey in plenty of time to retire Piniella, would complete an inning-ending double play. There was, however, an impediment. Jackson, having backtracked, was rooted in the baseline only steps away from first. As the throw rocketed toward its intended target, Reggie did the only thing he could to extend the inning. He leaned ever so slightly toward right field, his hip jutting out just far enough to deflect the throw, which bounced off him and toward the grandstand alongside the Yankees' dugout, allowing Munson to score. The Dodgers screamed interference. Manager Tommy Lasorda speed-waddled onto the field, tobacco juice dribbling onto his chin as he argued at top volume with umpires Frank Pulley and Joe Brinkman. Pulley, stationed at first, later admitted that his view of the base runner had been obstructed, and that he had little idea whether Jackson might have intentionally interfered with the ball. Brinkman said that he'd been looking at second base to call the force out when the ball hit Reggie, or, depending on your rooting interests, when Reggie hit the ball. The play might have been dirty, but there's no denying that it was smart. Had Jackson done nothing, the inning would have been over. The frame would similarly have ended had Reggie been called for interference, as he should have been. As it was, though, he got away with it, allowing Munson to close New York's deficit to 3-2, the Sporting News later calling it one of the shrewdest and most significant plays in World Series history. Had Jackson not done what he did, pitcher Tommy John, whose previous 2 starts were a 4-hit shutout over Philadelphia in the National League Championship Series and LA's victory over the Yankees in the first game of the World Series, would have been in the middle of another 4-hitter, trying to protect a 2-run lead in the late innings. Instead, with the Dodgers clinging to a 1-run advantage, Lasorda pulled the left-hander after Paul Blair's leadoff single in the 8th. 2 batters later, reliever Terry Forster allowed a game-tying double to Munson, and the game went to extra innings. New York won it in the 10th, and the Dodgers, instead of being 1 win from a series victory, found things knotted at 2 games apiece. It wrecked them. The problem, explained third baseman Ron Say, looking back, is that we had an afternoon start the next day. So we went from 2 a.m. in an extra inning game to 12 o'clock in a heartbeat. If Game 5 had been a night game, we might have been okay, but the early start swung the pendulum heavily in favor of the Yankees. They had hope, and we were down. We didn't digest it very well. If the thing would have been reversed, we would have been energized to put the nail in the coffin with an early start, and they would have had a tough time getting through it. "We made one mistake," said an angry Davy Lopes in the aftermath. "The ball should have been thrown at Jackson's face. Then we would have seen how smart he was." Gone was the previous high of winning the series' first 2 games. Erased was what had appeared to be a signature moment, Bob Welch's Game 2 ending strikeout of Jackson, who'd driven in all of New York's runs to that point, in an epic 9-pitch showdown. The Dodgers had been giddy after that victory. It was the last game they'd win until April. From the moment of Reggie's hip check, the Yankees outscored L.A. 21-4, winning 4 straight after dropping the first 2. "Unfortunately," said Tommy John, "we'll be remembered for the last 6 games, and not for the first 166. He was right, at least in the short term. The hangover from '78 would haunt a lost 1979 campaign that saw Los Angeles in last place at the All-Star break and 11.5 games off the pace at season's end. A rebound in 1980 fell short with a dramatic playoff loss to Houston, after which the Dodgers spent the winter, like the winter of '78, thinking about what exactly had gone wrong. Whatever it was, and there was plenty to process, proved instrumental in propelling L.A. to a long evasive championship in 1981. It was a last gasp stab at immortality, that '81 campaign, for a tenacious lineup that, with rosters far more talented than the 1981 version, had yet to be the final team standing. Compounded failures, World Series defeats in 1974, 1977, and 1978, the loss to Houston 6 months earlier, served to inform that 1981 squad. The players knew that such odds were against them, but they also knew enough to minimize such negativity. With a big assist from the quirks of a schedule interrupted, the Dodgers spent the ensuing months putting theory to test. Questions abounded about their age, their health, their motivation, their payroll, and their leadership. But the core of the team was essentially the same as it had been 2 years earlier, back when they considered themselves to be of championship caliber. Their primary concern was time.